What's up,
Hello?
everybody? Hey, Jeremy.
Oh, you're frozen. I can hear you, but you're frozen.
Hmm. Is that better?
Nope.
What is going on?
I have no idea. You were doing just fine earlier.
Let's see if this helps.
What's going on here?
Is that better?
No. Why don't you leave and come back in?
All right, we'll do.
So, welcome to another edition of Marks on Wrestling. I'm Jeremy York, and my co-host is Donald Martin. See if he's able to get his camera back on. Tonight is going to be a lot of fun. We're going to be talking about the Royal Rumble, which is coming up this Saturday on the 28th. Um, and they're going to be in San Antonio, Texas. This will be the 36th year, I think they're having it. Check it real quick. Yep, it's the 36th annual Royal Rumble. Yep, here's Martin again.
Is that better?
Yep.
Some technical glitch. Who
Yeah.
knows?
It happened while we were in backstage during the intro video. But no,
So we got just a few more days before the 2023 Royal Rumble.
Yep. I was just talking about that. Trying to get this thing shared out.
It's been a lot going on over the past couple weeks. Like I was saying earlier to you, the Monday night, you were saying you saw the whole episode. I didn't get to watch anything. I was still sick in the bed Monday.
It was okay. I mean, it's not your best Monday Night Raw. They didn't announce any new competitors for the Rumble, but they did bring back a lot of old faces. Hulk Hogan was there, Godfather, Undertaker was out there. He actually got in the ring with LA Knight.
Right.
And there's a little thing there where he literally passed the torch to Bray Wyatt. And Undertaker even said something about that on Twitter. Something about one of those special moments in wrestling, and that was one of them.
Yeah, I caught the replay of it on YouTube when I first saw it pop up. I was like, oh my God, Taker was at Raw. So
Yep.
I got to actually watch that whole scenario. I didn't know Godfather was there though. I would imagine with Taker there, Godfather was there.
Yeah, Godfather was there. Farouk was there. Medusa, Jimmy Hart.
Medusa was there.
They had a whole bunch of others. I'm going back to see. They actually had a list of those who were advertised to be there, but not all of them were there. The Bella twins were advertised, but they were not there. Oh, DX was there. Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle actually said that he wanted to be a part of DX, so he was with them in the place of Billy Gunn. And it was funny when they came out. When they came out, Kurt Angle was in a position where, okay, you see that fifth guy there, but you can't tell who it is. And I'm thinking to myself, is that really Billy Gunn? Did they actually get him to be a part of this? And it wasn't until they were all going into the ring when I saw, oh, that's Kurt Angle. What's he doing out there? And
I'm going to pull that back up. I would like to see that.
Yeah, it was different. And the first thing that I thought of was that one time that he was a part of the Shield. And he actually came out wearing their gear. And that was the first thing that came to mind. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, but this is DX. This isn't the Shield. Why is he there? But they did that. So when Road Dogg would do his normal thing about introducing them as New Age Outlaws,
right,
he said badass, and he looked over at Kurt Angle, and then everything just stopped.
Huh.
Yeah. I thought that was a fun little moment.
The crowd went nuts when the music came on.
They were in tears over that whole thing. It was a lot of fun. I can't find that list of everybody who was supposed to have been there. Oh yeah, Ray was out there. He actually introduced Charlotte for a segment. Jerry Lawler was there. He did some commentating on one match. Yeah, they brought back a whole bunch of different people. Money Incorporated were there.
Really?
Yeah.
I wonder if this is with the whole McMahon coming back and releasing certain individuals here and there, or people, quitting, putting their resignation in. If this bringing all these older guys and girls back here to kind of boost the ratings.
Well, it was the 30th anniversary of Raw, so they were going to be bringing back a whole bunch of people anyway.
So that was the 30th. I thought it was a week ago.
Yep, that was the 30th. This past Monday was. And I remember watching the very first Monday Night Raw.
Me again.
And you frozen again. There you are. And I remember watching the very first Monday Night Raw, and that was the Raw before the Rumble that year, or the Monday night before the Rumble. And the very first match, if I remember right, was Yokozuna versus Coco Beware.
Wow. Now that would be a mismatch there.
Yeah. And the main event of that night was Undertaker and, if you remember him, Damien Demento.
I don't remember him.
He was only in one pay-per-view, and that was the 93 Rumble. Well, he actually had a pretty decent showing. He was one of them weird characters. He was hailed from the outer regions of your mind. Just a weird character. Yeah, the outer reaches of your mind. He also wrestled as Mondo Clean in USWA, I think. Yeah, I want to say he wrestled in USWA before he went to the WWF. He was there as Mondo Clean. And I actually remember that name. even before he came in as Damien Demento.
Okay. So what was the Damien Demento? What was his gimmick?
He, let's see. A villainous character and showed to be mentally disturbed behavior, such as talking to himself.
Okay.
And he did do a lot of that during his matches. He didn't last very long. He wasn't even there for a year. But the 93 Rumble was the only pay per view that he was a part of. And I don't think he actually had any feuds with anybody during that time. He just had a whole bunch of matches here and there, and that was it.
Couldn't get that character working or get people behind him.
Yeah, I don't think so. He mostly remained a mid card performer and was noticeable for his appearance in the main event in the debut episode of Monday Night Raw. Yeah, so they didn't really do much of anything with him. And if you think about it, there's a lot of wrestlers right now that they're not really doing much of anything with. They're just going out there, having matches, and coming back.
Right.
Nothing significant about them, really.
Well, I saw where they actually scratched a couple matches from the Raw the other night because of time restraints.
Yeah, the one that suffered the most was the Becky and Bayley steel cage match, and they said that was because of the Sami Zayn trial.
Took too long.
Yeah, but here's the thing: when it comes to the Bloodline and Sami Zayn, they got nothing better than that right now. That is the hottest thing going today. Mainly because of Sami Zayn.
Right. It's that wild card that they're pushing out there to keep you guessing whether he's going to stay with the Bloodline during the Rumble, or is he going to, go with Kevin Owens?
Yeah. The last thing that was said in that trial was Roman Reigns wanted him to do what he's supposed to do that night, which he did, and then not see him again until Saturday, where he's going to have his final test. I wonder if maybe Sami Zayn is going to be the one to win the Rumble.
That could be a little twist on things.
Yeah. Because for months,
And I wonder, depending on when he comes in.
true.
Yeah.
For months, they've been talking about Cody Rhodes coming in to win the Rumble, provided he healed, which apparently he has. But they've all been talking about The Rock coming in.
Cody Rhodes turning heel?
What's that?
Did you say Cody Rhodes turning heel?
No, Cody Rhodes coming in
Oh,
and winning the Rumble.
right.
Yeah, no, I seriously doubt they're going to turn him heel.
No. I was fixing it
Not
wouldn't work.
Right, not at this point.
It wouldn't work.
Right.
They tried that back years ago with Taker. Of course, Taker, he's kind of neither, to me, heel or babyface. He's just one of those like Jake Roberts. People get behind him regardless of which side of the spectrum he's on. But I was like,
Because
they
he's
want
so
to turn anybody.
universal.
Do you remember when he attacked JR back in the Attitude Era? When Taker did, Taker attacked JR.
I remember somebody did.
Yeah, it's like if that's any way to try to get people not like him, that'd be about the only way you can do it.
But what? Let's see. I don't know when they tried to get Taker to beat up JR, but I remember there was a period of time where JR was doing a heel turn himself.
I don't remember that.
That was when he brought in the fake Razor Ramon and Diesel.
Okay, that was the days when I was taking a break.
Okay, because that was the end of '96 when he brought those two guys in.
Back on the Zayn thing. Well, we were talking about Cody Rhodes too. So, I mean, there's
Well,
you don't have a big list of people they've already announced, so you really don't know who's coming. Where you got a bunch of wild cards there, they could go in a bunch of different directions, which actually I kind of like because you're not sitting there, predicting the inevitable.
what they should do one year is just go into the pay-per-view without having announced a single person. Make everything a surprise.
I mean, you got a few listed now. How many they got listed now?
For the men's rumble, they have 15, and for the women's rumble, they have 7. And as far as the women's rumble, to me, Rhea Ripley is the most logical one to win.
Right.
However, there are 2 others on there that I think also have a fair chance of winning as well, and that's Shayna Baszler, because she is a legit badass. And Raquel Rodriguez.
Now, I read something about them trying to possibly push Rousey and Ripley being a tag team, going after the tag team titles for the women.
Her and Shayna, I think. Yeah, I think that is a plan. But nobody has seen Ronda since she lost the title to Charlotte. So I don't know what the plan is for her. However, there is a wild card. Liv Morgan. Over the past year, she has improved dramatically.
Right.
And right now, she remains the only wrestler to have actually pinned Ronda Rousey twice.
She did what?
Yeah, she pinned her twice. Whichever pay-per-view that Money in the Bank, when she cashed in her Money in the Bank contract, and then I think it was SummerSlam. No, Extreme Rules. I think it was Extreme Rules where she beat Ronda Rousey again. And I haven't seen it, but I heard that she made a comment on SmackDown that she wants to go into the Rumble in the number 1 spot so that she can throw everybody out herself.
You talking about Morgan?
Yes. Now I don't quite see her doing what Brock Lesnar did a couple years ago. going the distance, I don't know. She does not have a spectacular Rumble performance right now, but that could all change.
Now, I wonder if they'll keep it to 30 women.
Yeah, they will. It's announced as 30 women.
Is it?
Yeah.
So I watched the first Royal Rumble a couple weeks ago, and of course I watched a few others after that. But the first one wasn't but 20 guys in it.
Yep.
I mean, it was kind of nice watching the old ones like that and seeing a bunch of the old names that aren't around anymore. It's like, oh yeah, I remember him.
So having seen all the different Rumbles, which one would you say is your favorite?
Oh goodness. I'd have to refresh my memory on all of them again. I was always a big WrestleMania guy.
Yeah.
Well, I like watching the Rumble. Far as entrances coming back, guys popping back in surprisingly. That when that Edge showed back up after years.
Oh man, that
was huge. That was big pop.
That might have been the biggest one because nobody saw that one coming.
Mm-mm.
Especially after the kind of injury that he had. And for him to be able to come back and still be wrestling for 3 years, that's nothing short of miraculous, if you ask me.
Yeah, I watched the documentary on that. That whole forgot which one what the name of it was, but I remember watching the show with Edge and Beth Phoenix and all them. Getting him ready for the Rumble and all that, and the training he all went through.
Oh, I haven't seen that one. Is that on the network?
I think so.
Okay, I'll have to look for that.
It's actually pretty good.
Yeah, I enjoy watching wrestling documentaries like that.
It gives you that behind the scenes, stuff. What's really going on?
Mm-hmm. Well, I did see on TikTok there's a very small clip of when Edge was getting ready to come out, and then when he did, there was a camera on Beth seeing her reaction to how the fans reacted. And I'm getting chills just thinking about that. Because those fans made her cry the way that they just popped. I don't know of any other returnee who got a bigger pop like he did.
Yeah, because it was just totally out of the blue. Nobody thought anything about
it. There was a rumor before saying that he was cleared, but I don't know.
I don't remember any hints or anything like that. He was not around on any of the shows. Before that.
Yeah. I think what it was is that because when Daniel Bryan came back, that was when Edge decided, okay, I want to come back. That was less than 2 years later. And then a year after that, Christian would come back.
Mm-hmm.
Too bad they didn't have an actual crowd on hand for that one.
Yeah, that's during the COVID years, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was when they had that Thunderdome and all them TV screens around the place. Yeah. But you got to admit, they had some really big surprises over the years. It was always fun seeing Jim Duggan come back a couple times.
Yeah.
Um, let's see. AJ Styles. He was. There have been rumors that he was coming to the WWE, but they didn't know if he was going to be there in the Rumble. Nobody knew he was going to be in the Rumble until 30 seconds before he actually got out there. Because I remember behind the scenes footage of that one, and they had him hiding in the bus until 2 minutes before it was time to come out.
So they kept him a secret big from everybody.
Yeah. Even Roman Reigns didn't know he was coming out. I know Kevin Nash has come out as a surprise a few times. Chris Jericho did. Rob Van Dam did. Bob Backlund. Now, they try to have at least one or two surprises every year, but it didn't start out that way.
You had everybody listed out and who was I saw where, like fourth or fifth one in, they started, guessing who was next, coming out.
The first one for me was when Dick Murdoch came out. That was the 95 Rumble.
Now I remember Dirty Dick Murdoch.
Yeah, he came out in the 95 Rumble. And it was funny that year because he kept trying to eliminate Shawn Michaels, and Lex Luger would come over and save him from being eliminated. And I remember me, my mom, and dad, we were watching that pay-per-view. We kept wondering, why is Lex saving Shawn? Get rid of him. But looking on it now, my guess is that either Dick didn't know who was supposed to win or he forgot about it.
Possibility.
Yeah. And officially, Sami Zayn has not been announced for the Rumble. But I kind of have a feeling that he might be the one to win it this year. Because he's the most popular person out there now. And whoever is going to beat Roman, that person needs to have the fans behind them.
Yeah.
Granted, Cody Rhodes has the fans. But Sammy, I think he's more over than Cody is, I think.
I don't know. When he comes back, if he pops back in there if he pops back in there Saturday in the ring, I push it to him. I just can't see them bringing him back after the big push he had before the injury, and just to have him get thrown out.
Well, Cody got a lot of respect for that last match that he had.
Yeah.
I personally don't see how he did it. There was a lot of people worried about him with his injury. But, to be completely honest about it, no matter what he did in that match, he wasn't going to do any further injury to that. Hi, guys. Hi, Tim. Insane. I'm guessing that's Joe. But he could not have worsened that injury any more than it already was Okay, yeah, it is chill. Because his pectoral muscle was completely torn off.
Yeah, it was already messed up.
Yeah, it was already partially torn. And then when he was doing some weightlifting, let's see, the pay per view is Saturday or Sunday. He was weightlifting 2 days before that, so that would have been on Friday. Tore the rest of it off, and then he went on ahead and did the match because even as painful as it was, he wasn't going to do any further image to it. It's already torn off completely.
Right.
Yeah. um, there's a lot of wrestlers out there that wouldn't have done that. In fact, I remember one wrestler, he had a dislocated finger and he called the referee to stop the match.
Who was that?
Sin Cara,
Hmm.
the original Sin Cara. He was injury prone, so they got rid of him and brought in a guy who was Hanako at the time and put him under the Sin Cara mask.
I can see that. If you got a guy wanting to tap out, it's at least a little bit of injury.
Yeah. But yeah, Cody, he's going to have a lot of people behind him. I know he's got the office behind him.
Yeah.
It's said that he was supposed to have been the one winning Money in the Bank last year, which was the month after he got injured.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't even remember who won Money in the Bank last year. But then they started looking at the Rumble and seeing about him being the guy to finally dethrone Roman Reigns. But to be perfectly honest, I don't think he should be beat for another year. Because by the time WrestleMania comes around, he will be at 900 and some odd days. He's already there. Go to 1,000. Put him at 1,000 days as champion, at least for the Universal title, and then lose it the following year.
I wonder if they'll wind up splitting them up somehow or another.
I think that's the plan because the Usos defended the Raw tag titles against Damian Priest and Dominic Mysterio. So they're now doing separate things for the tag titles, and there had been talks of Roman main eventing both nights of WrestleMania, doing the world title one night and the Universal title the next night.
At WrestleMania?
Yeah.
This year?
I could see them doing that, but they were also talking about, well, it would depend on what The Rock was doing. If The Rock was going to do WrestleMania, then Roman and Rock would be doing the main event of WrestleMania, and the Saturday night would be Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes. However, if The Rock is not going to be there, then Cody would be on night 2, and I think they were talking about Drew McIntyre for night 1, but I don't know.
Who knows with what's happening on with the Rumble and the whole bloodline thing? They might even put Sami Zayn in there.
I think Sami Zayn is going to be in the Rumble, and
I think something's going to happen in there, and he's going to want to hit Roman or something. Something's going to happen, and they're going to turn on him.
there was a report that came out saying that something is going to happen at some point because they're talking about Roman and Sammy at Elimination Chamber in February. But I think they should save that for Mania.
The whole storyline of the bloodline and Sami Zayn and all that is been going on for some time, and it's just not just gonna blend in and be all hunky dory.
Not after Monday.
There's going to be a rift there somehow or another.
Yeah, Sammy's definitely going to get out. For all we know, Sammy is going to turn on Roman in his match against KO.
Mike.
Because he said something about the final test at the Rumble. Yeah, Sammy is in for big trouble. See, up until Monday, I thought Paul Heyman was on Sammy's side. Monday night comes around, Paul Heyman is saying he needs to go. And then Jay would come in and said, no, he needs to stay. So it's like everybody is flip-flopping around here about Sammy. Sammy is really the only one who stayed consistent. Well, no, I take that back. Jimmy Uso has always been with Sammy. Roman is all about him and the bloodline. And if you're not with the bloodline, you're out. Solo, I don't think he likes anybody. Yeah, absolutely right. I remember back in the 80s, Paul Heyman managed the Wild Samoans back in the NWA.
Yeah, Heyman's been around a while.
Mm-hmm.
He used to run with Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert back in CCW. He was called Paulie Dangerously back then.
Yep. Yeah, that's right. And he had the Dangerous Alliance. But that was after he had those Wild Samoans. Oh man, which one were they?
Yep.
I want to say Fatu was one of them.
Fatu, I think so.
Yeah, but I don't think Samu was the other. Okay, here we go.
Talking about Samoans.
Yeah, Samoans are huge, and there's an argument out there, and it's very hard to disagree that the Samoans is the best family of wrestlers ever. It's very hard to argue that, knowing all of the other families that have been out there. Let's see here. I'm trying to find them. Because you have the Hart family that had also been very successful. You had the Von Erichs. You got the Guerreros.
Yeah, the Guerreros are big one.
Yeah. But, that's for most of them is generally within an immediate family. For the Samoans, it's spread out.
Right.
Yeah, that's right. Roman's had leukemia. He's had it twice, and Joe did survive that as well, almost 30 years ago. In fact,
Forgotten all about that.
yeah, in fact, for those who don't know, when Joe was diagnosed with leukemia, he was diagnosed in the beginning of December that year, and was told he was not going to see Christmas. That was more than 30 years ago.
Wow.
He's still here. So what's that tell you? Those doctors were wrong.
Yeah, doctors don't know everything. You know why they call it practice? 'Cause that's why what they do. They practice on you.
Okay, I don't know why I'm not seeing.
What you looking for?
Well, I'm looking to see the Samoans that he managed while he was in the NWA.
You talking about the Wild Samoans? That's the same ones that came to WWF.
I'm pretty sure Fatu was one of them, but I'm not certain that uh, not Roman, that Samu was the other. Yep, that's right, he did.
Yeah, yeah, he on DCW.
No, it was in the NWA. Um,
Let's see if I can pull.
Championships, NWA tag. Of course. Okay, here we go.
South Georgia.
I thought the Wild Samoans had the tag titles.
They did in NWA.
That's just it. I'm not seeing them.
NWA Detroit between 65 and 80. NWA United States Tag Team Champions, 62 and 76.
No, it wouldn't have been at that time. Well, anyway, so yeah, so Paul Heyman does have a very long history with the Samoan family, um, and yeah, it was a shock. Joe mentioned it sometime back there that it was a shock that Yokozuna was a part of the Samoan family. Because they talked about him being the first Japanese superstar to win the Royal Rumble. And then years later, when Shinsuke Nakamura won it, he was the first actual Japanese superstar to win it. And Now Yoko is now widely known as and accepted as the Samoan family. Okay. Samoan SWAT team.
Yeah, I see that.
Okay, apparently it was Samu and Fatu. So I guess it was them. I could have sworn it was Fatu and someone else. Oh wait, no. In late '98, Fatu briefly teamed up with Samoan Savage, who was Tama. And Tama was Haku's tag team partner back in the WWF as the Islanders.
Sam Fatu, twin brother of Rikishi, older brother of Umaga.
He is. Yep. Yeah. Twin brother Fatu.
I did not realize that. Oh. So we've covered kind of the men's rumble. Kind of went through the Reigns, Roman Reigns and Kevin Owens thing, and we discussed a little bit about the women's rumble.
There's not really a whole lot to talk about the women's rumble because
You really don't know who's in there.
it's a third of the competitors of it.
Right. You've got what's the other thing we got on the card? Bianca Belair and Alexa Bliss.
That one is going to be interesting because they've been doing all kinds of teasing with Bray Wyatt and Uncle Howdy as far as Alexa goes. Every time she's somewhere or doing something, there is a clip of that butterfly or whatever that thing is that they would show. Joe, sometime we'll get you on this show and we can talk about wrestling. Yeah, some of the 30 will be unknown, but they didn't always start that way. They didn't start doing that until sometime in the 2000s. Because I remember I want to say at least through 99, they would have all 30 announced, but then there would be substitutions. Because I remember in 94, Kamala was supposed to be in the Rumble, and he ended up not. Virgil took his spot. 1, 2, 3 Kid was supposed to be in the Rumble, and Sparky Blood took his, who later became Bob Holly. Then Quane, who later became Savio Vega, took someone else's spot. I think he took Ludwig Borger's spot, the Finnish wrestler. In 93, Crush was supposed to be in the Rumble, but he got injured by Doink the Clown, so he got replaced by Max Moon, who whose character I really enjoyed. I enjoyed his outfit, but he was knocked out of the Rumble way too soon.
I watched one the other day that had Repo Man on there. I was like, oh my god.
Oh man, Repo, that was such a fun gimmick. And it's hard to imagine that Repo Man used to be Smash of Demolition. And a lot of people saw that as like a demotion, but he was the one who came up with the Repo Man gimmick.
Really?
Yeah, he came up with that idea. And his long-term goal was, okay, I'm going to be Repo Man as the heel, but sometime I'm going to turn face, because he wanted to do all the charity work and everything like what Titus is doing right now. But he wanted to be a good guy at some point, and that was the plan, but Vince ended up changing his mind. And when that happened, that was when he ended up leaving in '93. Best rivalry of all time? Oh man, you could all.
You got so many. It's that'd be a tough one.
I would probably have to say in terms of transcendent wrestling, it would have to be Austin and Rock.
I can see that. You know, I remember Macho Man and Ricky Steamboat.
Oh man,
That's when supposedly Macho Man came down on the with the elbow with that
the ring bell. No, the barrier.
was it the barrier?
Yeah, I think so. He came down on him. He hit the barrier, and that was when he couldn't breathe.
I was thinking that was the ring bell.
I don't know. I'd have to go back and watch.
You know, Macho had a bunch of good rivalries back in the day. You know, he had one with George Animal Steel for a little while, and
That one was fun to watch.
that was a good character.
Now the one with Savage and Flair, that I think that was the first time the WWF actually started to get personal with their feuds. One of the first times. Probably the very first time would have been Jake Roberts and Rick Rude.
Yeah, I remember that because if I remember right, Rick Rude they were bringing Cheryl Roberts into it.
Yeah, he had her face on his tights.
Yeah, that's right.
Steamboat and Flair, they had some great matches in 88, 89. NWO, WCW, that was something special that started out. It started out as something special, and then it just got too big for its own britches. Bret Hart and Owen Hart, that to me was one of my favorites.
Hey, Eileen.
That to me was one of my favorites. You know how that whole thing started with Brett and Owen? It was actually an idea that Bruce Hart came up with, that he wanted to do a feud with Brett. He took the idea to Vince. Vince took the idea to Brett. Brett said, not Bruce, let's do Owen. That's how that started. Because honestly, it made sense to do it with Owen. And with that, I can just about imagine that really pissed Bruce off.
Oh, I'd imagine.
Yeah. But Brett and Owen, they put out the best matches during that time period. The WrestleMania match that they had, the SummerSlam match that they had, that was just one of the best rivalries they had. And then since then, they would have several brother versus brothers.
You had the Steiners at one time feuding, didn't you?
Yeah, I vaguely remember that, but it never quite got where they had hoped it would go, I don't think. Undertaker and Kane?
Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah, that was
when that was first.
your story.
When I started watching back again, when Stone Cold was just getting that big pop, whenever him and Shawn Michaels.
Okay, so you came in about 97, 98.
Yeah, I came back and started watching it right around that because that was a big match. And WCW, Sting and Hogan was about the same time.
Yeah. Joe, you're absolutely right. Braun Breaker is excellent to watch. I think he'll be one of the 15 to come into the Rumble. I think he'll be one of the 15 to come into the Rumble. Because more times than not, the NXT champion would make an appearance. They didn't last the last 2 years, I don't think. I could be wrong on that. But I think Braun will be in the Rumble this year.
Yeah.
He'll have a good showing. He better have a good showing. So let's talk about who do we think will be the two to start off the Rumble this year, based off of what we know.
True. God, I wouldn't know where to begin. I don't think Zayn is. If he's going to be in the Rumble, I don't think he's going to be in the first. I think he's going to be much later.
Yeah, he would have to be much later. I have a feeling. I'm gonna call this now, even though one of them is not officially been announced for the Rumble, but I'm pretty sure he will be. When you look at the first two at all the Rumbles, like in 98, 89, they had members of Demolition start off the Rumble.
Mm-hmm.
And then in 08, they had the final two for the previous year start the Rumble, Undertaker and Shawn Michaels. And they have had heated rivalries and surprise rivalries come in as number two. But the one thing that they have not done, well, two things they haven't done. One, they haven't done brother versus brother. And there's nobody today where they could be able to do that. But they do have that opportunity this year. They've had it the last 2 years where they can start a Rumble off with father and son.
I could see Mysterio and crap thing. What's his face?
Dominic.
I could see that coming in.
I'd like to see Ray and Dominic be the first two in the Rumble.
Now, I wouldn't put it past them putting Shayna Baszler in there first on the women's side of it and letting her go the distance.
Letting her go the distance in the Rumble?
Yeah.
Do it. Actually, I think she did almost go the distance a couple years ago.
So they put her in at number 1 or even number 2, which, I mean, it's the same thing, 1 or 2.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, here we go. In the 21 Rumble, she came in at number 6, and she lasted all the way to number 30.
so she won it that year.
No, she didn't win it, but she went all the way toward near the end.
Okay.
Yeah. So she can go the distance. For distance this year, oh boy. Cody Rhodes has a history of going 20, 30, 40 minutes in almost every one of his Rumbles. I don't think he's had a Rumble where he's been in there in less than 15 minutes.
Cody Rhodes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he has always been a distance person in the Rumble. So if he goes in early this year, which I doubt he will, he'll go a distance. But if he gets a late number, he could win it.
I just don't know where would be the most opportune time for that big pop.
Number 27.
Yeah.
Speaking of numbers, up until last year, 27 was always the magic number. Now it's 27, 28, and 30. All three of those numbers have produced winners 4 separate times.
Now, I watched the one not long ago, about a week or so ago, where Flair won. And he went, who was it? Greg the Hammer Valentine had no, it was the model. Rick Martel had it.
Yeah, he got that. He was
Flair got it.
He was actually number 6 that year as well. He came in at number 6 and went all the way to the final 5. Yeah, that was a great one. DiBiase was the first real marathon person by going 44 minutes, 45 minutes. Then the model did it the next year. It was 4 years in a row where somebody was making a new endurance record.
Right.
Then when Bob Backlund got it, nobody beat that until Chris Benoit did. And then 2 years after that, Rey Mysterio got it. And then he held the record until 2018 at the greatest Royal Rumble in Saudi Arabia when Daniel Bryan beat it at 76 minutes.
What was I going to say? No, that was a different time. I was thinking Mysterio, but that was when Benoit and Guerrero won the titles. You know, around the same time.
Yeah,
I was
that was the year
Mysterio.
Benoit and last in eliminating the Big Show that year. That that was quite a finish. Um, what about Kofi? Every year he has this thing where he does this elaborate save. Last year it backfired on him, so I'm curious to see what he's going to do this year. And then also Naomi, every year she would have some elaborate save as well. She's not announced this year, but I have a feeling that she may be making her return this year at the Rumble.
Yeah, yeah, he was. He almost got thrown out several times. Did the whole handstand thing and then jumping from here to there. I
That
remember
that was the start of it.
it was wild.
That is, man, that was the best one of them all too.
Oh, do you remember the? I can't remember exactly who it was, but it's the night that Vince jumped in the ring and tore both his uh, knees out when the two guys in the Rumble went over together when they wasn't supposed to.
That was Batista and John Cena.
Yeah. And he had to come down there and try to restart it and tore his damn knees out getting in the ring.
Yeah, yeah, they weren't supposed to have that double finish like that. He was supposed to throw Cena out, but when he got Cena up, Cena's momentum took him over the rope. Okay, Joe, I won't. Um,
I used to not like him uh, early on. For years I was like, oh my God, it's Cena again. I hate watching him come on the show. Wrestling the whole 9 yards. Just didn't get behind him. But when he started doing a lot of stuff with the military and all that stuff, it kind of opened my eyes up to who he is as a person
yeah,
behind the whole gimmicks and all.
and to be perfectly honest, Cena was on that same level as Hogan, um, Austin. He was right up there. And you cannot deny that John is one of the best on the microphones.
Yeah.
I just watched it a couple of days ago. Him and Roman Reigns going at it, and Roman was trying to do a promo. He was terrible at it.
Who was that?
Roman.
Oh, you want to talk about just crazy promos, and that would be the Ultimate Warrior. He would go off that field.
Oh man, he couldn't understand a damn word he was saying.
Yeah, I know.
I'm actually kind of surprised they didn't have him win a Rumble, especially the '90, the first year that Hogan won it. Because they were talking about having Mr. Perfect winning it, but I'm surprised they never considered the Warrior to win it because of how hot he was.
Right.
But it's just the way it goes. But I have a feeling that if Cody Rhodes doesn't win it this year, and if The Rock doesn't return, I'm going to go with Sami Zayn, even though he's not actually announced as um, a participant in the Rumble. Yeah, Joe Hennig, I don't know what happened with him. He has the potential, he has the skill set to be able to do it, but they just completely wasted him.
Is he in NXT?
No, he's not even with them anymore, I don't think.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's still wrestling somewhere or not. Yeah, Curtis Axel. And that was a great name too, to honor his father and grandfather. But when they first brought him in as Michael McGillicuddy, that was just ridiculous.
That's a dumb name.
Yeah. So they completely wasted him and his potential. Because he even had the size. He had a good build to be, maybe not a huge megastar, but to be a big star.
Yeah. Yeah, he's really pushed the name out. Talking about Orton, really.
He did. Yeah, Randy definitely had the stuff to do it from when he first came out. He did. His drop kicks are about the best I've ever seen. His body slams are the best body slams I've ever seen. Yeah, that whole thing with the cast on his arm, that was just crazy. But if The Rock does not come to the Rumble, it's either going to be Cody or Sami. It's going to be one of those two. If The Rock comes to the Rumble, he's going to win it because they're not bringing him out just right for nothing. If The Rock comes out, he's winning. If it's not him, a lot of people are saying it's Cody, but there's a huge argument for Sami. I don't see anybody else winning this thing. For the women's, I'm going to go with Rhea, but an argument can be said about Shayna and Raquel. Possibly Liv. You got a point there, but there is a market for Rock versus Roman. Everybody wants to do that match. Rock wants to do it. Roman wants to do it. It's just a matter of timing. He is. He really is.
Yeah. He's made a name for himself in Hollywood.
Rock, Dwayne Johnson, in all honesty, became the biggest star in the world. He really did. Him and Taylor Swift are neck and neck.
No comparison.
Some people don't like her music, but there is no denying the success that she's made. Nobody has had the kind of success that she's had. Yeah. Rock wants to do the match. Roman wants to do the match. It's just a matter of them actually do. I actually like the Miz's movie. I actually like the Miz's movies.
That's a one character I never could get down. I never liked the Miz.
When he first came out, he was terrible.
When he first came out, he was a dang announcer.
Yeah. He couldn't even remember what he was supposed to say.
Yeah.
And then, right around the time he had that pipe bomb with Daniel Bryan, when he exploded on him, Right around that time was when he really upped his game and made people notice him.
Hmm.
And right now, to me, Miz is one of the best talkers in wrestling.
Yeah, I love that movie.
I have not seen that movie in a long time.
I thought you was fixing you'd never seen that, but
I've seen it a couple times, but it's been a very long time.
we watched it back in December.
Did you?
Yeah.
uh, Hold on. I need to check and see if Rosie never said if she was doing her show tonight or not. I don't think she is. Okay, I don't think Rosie's going to be doing a show. She hasn't been doing the show much lately, so we can go on a little longer, I guess. Uh, yeah, I got it in January of '92.
I was. I'm gonna say I was probably 9 or 10.
Okay,
So that would be 80, 81 or 82, or no, yeah, 81 or 82. I'm gonna say was probably it.
so a couple of years before wrestling really exploded.
Right. I was really big into the Mid South. Uh,
Okay,
watched it every time it came on when I was a kid. Me and my granddad.
now I'm looking at this list and I'm seeing three names that have never been in the Rumble: Santos Escobar. He is no, he's on SmackDown right now, I think. So I haven't seen him wrestle. Gunther, he is he's a big boy. He's an Austrian wrestler,
Hmm.
tall. He recently lost quite a bit of weight. Um, but Gunther is really, really good. And then Karrion Cross, who reminds me a lot of Steve Austin back in the day. The way that he does things. Well, that's what they're going to have to do with Omos.
Yeah.
They have to gain up on him. That I think that's what they did last year. They had 5 or 6 of them kick him out. I want to see Otis in the Rumble. I enjoy the hell out of Otis. You know who he is, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. He
Yeah.
had wasn't it with Liv Morgan?
Yep.
Yeah.
I enjoy the hell out of Otis. He is extremely entertaining, and for being a big boy, he can wrestle.
That
And
whole Otis and Liv Morgan thing reminded me of something back in the Attitude Era. Go ahead with your thing.
I was going to say Otis. I believe he was a very successful collegiate wrestler. Yeah, Gable, Chad Gable. I don't like this whole shoe thing that he does, but that boy can wrestle too. But what they got him doing right now is just annoying as hell. Um, I'm kind of on the fence about him holding Otis back. I'm on the fence on that one because they have had a somewhat successful team. They won the tag titles one time, but Chad Gable's attitude right now, I do not like. And how Otis was before he joined, Chad Gable did all this, yeah, and, all almost like a bushwhacker type.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy that. He reminded me so much of the bush. I miss the bushwhackers.
One of them is still doing, house shows. The small time house shows.
Luke is, yeah.
Yeah,
He's 75 years old.
He's freaking old.
Yeah,
But I guess if you can still get out there and do something,
I know.
he's
You
enjoying his life, I guess.
Well, Jerry Lawler, I think, is still wrestling too, and he's in his 70s, I think. He looks damn good for being in his 70s.
And that's part of the reason why they keep on doing the stuff.
Yeah. And thing about the Bushwhack, they, with the exception of one Rumble apiece, they have had the worst luck in the Rumbles.
Yeah.
Luke was in there for 4 seconds one year, and then a couple years later, they were both in there for less than 15 seconds each. That 95 Rumble, if they could have actually let these guys do what they did instead of get in and get bumped out in a couple of minutes, that would have been a good Rumble if they had not done the 60-second time clock.
I'm trying to think. If I remember right, maybe think of somebody else, but
Oh, there you are.
I think they were called the sheep herders back then.
Hi, Joe.
Bushwhackers. Ed Hogan once, a friend of mine was Hornswoggle's. Well, I bet that's some stories.
Hornswoggle is funny. And to think he was in a couple of Rumbles himself.
Yeah. With Fit Finley.
Yeah, that one year he was, yep.
Didn't they push some little thing about it? McMahon's illegitimate son or something like that. Hornswoggle was.
Yeah, they did that. And then he also ended up being the Raw general manager, I think. Back when Michael Cole was doing his heel run, which I'm glad they did away with that. Oh, and that one year, I want to say it was like 2012 or 2013. All 3 announcers got in the ring for the Rumble: Jerry Lawler, Booker T, and Michael Cole. That's funny. Yeah, Michael Cole actually got in the ring. Several announcers became part of the Rumble. Jerry Lawler was the first. He was the first announcer actually announcing and then getting in the Rumble, get knocked out, and then go back to announcing. He was the first one. JBL did it 1 year. And then there was Jerry Booker T and Michael Cole. To some extent, Vince McMahon, even though he was in it to the beginning, but he went to the announce table towards the end and then got back in the ring, won the whole thing.
Yeah. That was the whole Stone Cold era, wasn't it?
Yep. He was the one that broke his streak, because that would have been 3 Rumbles in a row that he won, that he would have won.
Yeah, that would probably be one of the biggest feuds ever.
Yeah. When you think about iconic rivalries, Austin McMahon, definitely. Austin The Rock, absolutely. NWO, WCW. It was that feud that actually took everything to become the Attitude Era.
Right. Well, I think, for years McMahon was always the babyface announcer.
He was.
For years. And then when the whole Montreal Screwjob came through, and then it was like, man, I can really boost ratings by being the bad guy.
Well, it actually kind of started before then, because there was no public acknowledgement that he was the owner of the WWF at the time. They mentioned it in the newspapers and things, but in wrestling in general on TV, there was never any acknowledgement of it. And then
Right.
the whole thing with Bret Hart and Steve Austin, that was what McMahon got pulled into that. And finally, he had to acknowledge that, yes, he was the owner. Because people were wondering, why does he keep going to Vince and complaining to him about it? What can Vince do? He's just an announcer.
Right.
Turns out he wasn't. And you got to think how hard it had to have been for Vince. Because when you're the owner and you're the one who makes the final decisions on everything, how hard is it to actually be at the announce table at ringside, seeing all this stuff going on, and then something goes wrong? It's not like Vince can go and choose somebody out or anything about. He's got to wait until the very end of the night when he's able to go backstage again, because he was the voice of the pay-per-view.
Right. Well, even now, from what I understand, he's still in the announcer's ears and all that. When they're,
He was until he resigned. And now that he's back, I don't know if he's doing it again or not. But I heard that once Triple H took over everything, it's a lot easier on the announcers.
oh, I'd imagine you ain't got somebody micromanaging you.
Yeah. Because I remember in '96, the '96 Rumble where Shawn Michaels won it the second time, Steve Austin was supposed to have been one of the final 4. And then he got eliminated much earlier than he was supposed to. And Vince is there doing the announcing. He can't say shit to anybody.
No.
So a lot of people don't like Vince. And I get it. A lot of people don't like him. But at the same time, you have to admit, if you want good at what you do or knowing what you do, he would not have gotten anywhere near where he's at now. Vince worked his ass off to get where he's at.
Yeah. You know,
And to be the announcer for a lot of the shows at the same time, that's hard to pull off.
you know, in any kind of, I guess, business like that, you're going to have, you know, some really great ideas, and you're going to have those ideas that were like, what were we even thinking?
Well, with that said, even Vince himself didn't have the brightest ideas either. Because if you think about some of the stuff that we have seen on TV, they were pretty horrendous.
Yeah. That brought me back to the idea or the thought I had earlier was the worst storylines. And that was with Mark Henry and Mae Young
Oh,
when she gave birth to the hand. And then the
yeah,
whole
about that.
Kane and Katie Vick thing.
I was just thinking about that one.
That was just really out there.
Yeah, that. Now that you brought that one up, I just remembered the whole thing about Big Boss Man and the Big Show with the Big Show's father. Big Show's dad died, and they were doing a funeral thing, and the Boss Man crashed the funeral and hooked something up to the casket and drove off with that casket. I remember that now.
I don't remember. I guess that was when I wasn't watching.
No, you would have been around because Big Show came into the WWF in '99.
He came in.
Smack in the middle of the Attitude Era.
For some reason, I don't remember that.
Yep, they were.
Yeah.
That was when he was in WCW, though.
Yeah.
I think they tried that when he came to the WWF. One thing that I did not care for was when they started bringing in the ECW wrestlers and started doing all the hardcore stuff. And then when some of these guys came into the Rumble, they would start bringing in trash cans and tables and all of that stuff. I did not like those Rumbles. And they had a significant part of that in the 2001 Rumble, which is being said as if not the greatest Rumbles. And I'm thinking, I don't like that Rumble because they brought in all this hardcore shit that shouldn't be in the Rumble. But they had several Rumbles like that, and I didn't really care too much for that.
Yeah, if you were going to do something like that, just have a hardcore rules Rumble. So totally by itself.
Yeah.
Bring whatever you want to in there.
Yeah, because to me that just took away. I get it for who these guys are: Raven, Al Snow, Perry Saturn, Sabu.
Oh, I loved Al Snow.
Although I liked how Sabu got eliminated in his Rumble when Kane slammed him through their table.
Mm-hmm.
I did like that part. But I didn't like how they chainsaws. When Terry Funk brought in the chainsaw into the, that doesn't belong there.
Chainsaw Charlie.
Yeah. And he brought in that chainsaw, and he had the chainsaw Cactus Jack had the chair, and they went right at it. So that
But they had some great matches.
they did.
Cactus Jack and Terry Funk,
They did.
they had some great matches back in the day.
Terry was really the only one that I watched, Joe. I never got to watch Dewey except for the one match that he had at WrestleMania and when he came into the Rumble in '96. That's really the only two times I watched Dory Funk wrestle. Terry, on the other hand, I've seen him everywhere, which I hear that Terry is not in the best of health right now.
I wonder how old he is.
Well,
He's
he's,
be in his 70s, close to 80s.
I'm guessing 80. I'm guessing 80. Because I want to say that he's suffering from either schizophrenia or dementia or something like that. But he's not doing very well right now. Now, I'm sure a lot of that has to do with all them chair shots to the head.
Yeah. It's like you think about concussions in NFL and all that stuff. I wonder how many concussions you've had, in wrestling.
Yeah.
Of course, back in the day, just like the NFL, they didn't really discuss it a whole lot.
Right.
It was one of those things. Now it's like, you got to get medically cleared to wrestle. It wouldn't have been a thing back in the 80s. You just get out there and do it.
Now going back into the Rumble, the winners, you have a who's who of everybody. And then when you think about some of these winners, how in a lot of cases, the ones who ended up winning were not the original plan to be the winners. Royal Rumble 91. That was the year that Hogan won his second Rumble. They originally wanted Andre the Giant to be the winner for that. But at that point, his health was so bad that he couldn't even get out to the ring and do 5 minutes. He was that bad.
Yeah.
1990, Mr. Perfect was supposed to have been the winner and it ended up being Hogan. 93, the one that Yoko won, they wanted to bring in Scott Steiner as a surprise. His first match was going to be the Rumble match and he was going to win. And they had this plan to get him to WrestleMania and win the title. And for 93, how Scott Steiner was then, I think that would have been a great match with him and Bret Hart.
Yeah, in his later years in WCW, he got so stiff, couldn't move.
Yeah. There is no question he was on steroids.
Mm-hmm.
Because he bulked up more than anyone I have ever seen. The year that Bianca Belair won, they were talking about Charlotte winning 2 years in a row. But somebody said, let's give it to Bianca because she's hot right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that Scott, that really ruined his career because he and Rick had a great thing going. And then after the NWO came in and then they started doing this, that just killed the Steiners. It really did. I don't know who else would have been in the running for any of the other Rumbles. But right now, the way that they are doing the Rumbles is that they're keeping both winners almost in the same category. The first year that the Women's Rumble came in, the winner of the women's and the men's were both Japanese. Very popular Japanese wrestlers, nonetheless. The year that Edge and Bianca Belair, they both went the distance that year. And then last year with Brock Lesnar and Ronda Rousey, both MAA stars coming in and winning the Rumble. They need to do some sort of separation where there is no type of connection of any kind between the two winners. Almost every year there is some kind of connection. The year that Seth Rollins won and Becky Lynch won, that's a couple.
Right.
So they need to have where whoever wins the men's Rumble has no connection, nothing in common, nothing at all with the women's.
Well, if they do it, all right, we've got Sami Zayn. Who else did we talk about?
It's Sami Zayn and Rhea Ripley, two completely different people. Well, actually, I don't think Rhea has anything in common with any of the potential winners that we have for this year.
Right.
I don't think she has anything in common. So Rhea and anybody who is not in Judgment Day would be good. Let's see, is anybody in Judgment Day in the Rumble currently? No.
I wouldn't want to see Brock, winning it again. And then
No, he does not need it.
Him and Lashley are going to wind up doing something during their match, and they're both going to be eliminated somehow or another together or right close to one. They're going to have some kind of thing.
They need that last match between the two, because the two that they had just didn't really do anything for either one of them.
I see them having some kind of showdown at WrestleMania, but it's going to start Saturday.
It should. Although, as far as WrestleMania goes, I heard that they're actually considering Brock Lesnar and Gunther at WrestleMania. That would be a good match to watch. I would like to see that. I think Gunther could probably hold his own. Yeah, Brock might make an appearance in the Rumble. Let's see. You got 15 guys. So there's Brock, Rock. You got the 3 members of Judgment Day that have not been announced, which I'm very, very surprised. Kofi is in the Rumble. I don't see why Xavier shouldn't be in the Rumble either. I don't see Ricochet winning, not this year. Now, the thing about Ricochet that bothers me is that he had to qualify for the Rumble this year. Nobody else did. So why was there a qualifying match?
Yeah, but some kind of storyline that they were going to start, and they just we just got too much else going on.
It doesn't make sense. But Kofi, I would like to see win one year.
They'll have to really push him a few months in advance.
Yeah, I'd like to see Kofi win, especially if he did one of his elaborate saves right at the end. whereas him and one other guy left. The guy throw Kofi's out, and he does his elaborate save then. Then he comes in and gets the other guy. That would be a great ending for the Rumble. And I think Kofi deserves that.
I would see the New Day showing up in the ring together at some point in time.
Well, they have several times.
Yeah, just to get that little crowd pop.
Yeah. And Big E. Wouldn't it be something if Big E came back to the Rumble this year?
Who?
Big E.
Yeah.
That would be a big thing, especially with how the whole thing with his neck last year. He got hurt just a week or two after the Rumble last year. And last I heard from him was that he had some sort of a checkup, I think at the end of this month or next month. But wouldn't it be something if he did his checkup early, got released, and come to the Rumble this year? That would probably be a pop right on the same level as Edge, because nobody would see that coming.
Yeah. Kofi in there.
Yeah.
The other two already in there, maybe going at it.
Let's see who else could be in the Rumble. Solo should be in the Rumble.
Who?
Solo from the Bloodline. I think
the Bloodline going in there.
Yeah. The Usos, no. Well, actually, the Usos, they don't have a tag match scheduled for the Rumble.
Storyline wise, it would make sense to help your odds to get every one of them in there. If you're going to face Roman.
Think of it this. What if the last two in the ring in the Rumble are Bloodline members? Can you imagine that going on? Because the winner of that match is going to face Roman at WrestleMania. So think of it this way. Think of it as Sammy and Solo as the last two in the Rumble.
Yeah, I just don't know. If it winds up being N2 and then, I don't know. I still think it's going to be Cody.
It could be Cody, but this year I hope it's not. It's got to be Sammy because he is the hottest thing right now. But again, it all depends on what goes on with The Rock. Now, there was a report where The Rock told them that he's not going to be ready for WrestleMania. He's not going to be in shape for WrestleMania. I don't buy that at all because The Rock is in better shape than anybody in wrestling. Who are you talking about, Joe? So the whole thing about Rock not being ready for, I'm going to have to disagree. I think Sammy right now is the hottest thing. Now, when he did this whole conspiracy thing for a while, that was over the edge for me. But ever since he's been with the Bloodline, he has been pure gold. So I don't buy this whole, I'm not going to be in shape in time for WrestleMania. I think that's just a ruse to make people think he's not going to be in the Rumble. Just like what Ronda did last year, saying that she was in another country on the day of the Rumble. And she came in and won the whole thing. So I think this whole thing with The Rock is just a ruse. So by the time number 30 comes out to the ring, we'll know who the winner is at that point, depending on who comes out as number 30.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. If The Rock comes out as number 30, he's winning. If Sammy is not in the ring and Cody is, and somebody else comes out as number 30, it's Cody. If Cody's not in the ring and Sammy is, and somebody other than The Rock comes out as 30, it's Sammy. It's one of those three. That's my pick.
No. You want to see something bigger than just a theory. Something bigger than Rock and Roman having a three-way match with Cody, Rock, and Roman.
That would be a good match. And at that point, you would know who would come out on top there.
No. Or what if they did a
Yes, if The Rock comes out at 30, the place will explode. There is no question in that one. But it's just all going to depend. You are not going to know until you know who number 30 is. If The Rock comes out at 30, he's the winner.
I can't see somebody just non-important coming in at 30. Somebody big is going to come in at 30.
Well, when you think about those that have been number 30, at least in the men's rumble, last year it was Brock. The year before him was Braun Strowman. He's a big name, no doubt, but Braun Strowman is not Brock caliber. Let's put it that way. The year before that was Seth Rollins. But this year, and generally they don't save big names for number 30. They usually don't. Undertaker came out at number 30 twice. Undertaker came out at number 30 twice. Big Show, he came out number 30 twice. I thought he came out 3 times as number 30. I actually have a list here of every person who participated in the Rumble and what number they came out at. Yeah, here it is. Undertaker came out at number 30 3 times.
How many times did he win?
The third time he came out at number 30, he won. Okay, Johnny Knoxville. I enjoyed watching him come out into the Rumble last year. I enjoyed that.
Oh, I forgot about that. I forgot about the match that he had.
Yeah, that match that he had with Sammy. A lot of people say that match was stupid. And for what it was, it was. but that was pure comedy. That match was comedic gold, especially with that big hand that came out and knocked Sammy down. Now the crowd sees it, but the way that they did the cameras on there, nobody saw it until he actually used it.
Right.
Bad Bunny, he is impressive as hell as a rap superstar coming out into the wrestling world and actually being pretty decent as a wrestler. Logan Paul. There's talks that he might be in the Rumble too.
I can see that.
That boy is good. He is very good in that ring. And you don't see that when you get the celebrity crossovers coming into wrestling. But Bad Bunny and Logan Paul, they were good. Logan Paul better than Bad Bunny, but Bad Bunny did really, really good on his own.
Yeah, Logan Paul was, a couple matches I saw, which were pay-per-views because I can't get, the regular cable stuff. But
he's only had 3 matches, and all of them have been on pay-per-views.
Yeah, he was good.
Matches, he was solid. And the one that he had with Roman Reigns, he actually had you thinking maybe he could beat Roman Reigns. But that was, yeah, Logan Paul is different. And he was also a amateur wrestler too when he was young. So when he did that with Roman Reigns and doing all of the amateur wrestling style, he was throwing Roman all over the place. Nobody was expecting that. But yeah, Undertaker came out as number 33 times, which is more than anyone else. And he won it on the 3rd time. And ironically, became the first man to win at number 30. There had been Brock won when he came out at number 29. Then Batista came out at 28 when he won, but before, number 27 was the magic number. But if you look at those who came out at number 27 a lot lately, more times than not, it's always the wrestlers that don't have a chance. But as it stands right now, 27, 28, and 30 have all produced numbers, have all produced winners more than anybody else, and that's 4 times each, including the women's rumbles.
Saturday's going to be very interesting, to say the least.
Yeah.
A lot of speculation of what's going to happen. I guess we'll find out Saturday night.
Yeah. And with the Rumble, this is the one pay-per-view where you just don't know what's going to happen because there are so many people in this match. Yeah, you got your favorites.
There's so many variables.
The ones
so many variables can happen.
Yeah. And mistakes can happen too, just like Steve Austin when he got eliminated a lot earlier than he was supposed to. Well, what if Steve was supposed to have won that year? And he got eliminated. So think about that. So, and people have gotten eliminated early by mistake more than once. I'm just waiting on that one year where the person who is supposed to win gets eliminated. Everybody's going to everybody's going to shit their pants behind that scene.
Yeah. And they'll have to rewrite and see how they can, rewrite everything and try to get them back in there.
Right. Well, they won't be able to put the guy back in there because the fans are not going to have that.
Well, they'll have to do some kind of, three-way match or something will happen.
Yeah.
They'll be able to write a storyline.
Right. But the end result is somebody's got to win the Rumble. I think, and they may already have this, okay, here's the guy who's going to win. But if something happens, this is the next guy.
And it may be. They may have, picked some fail safes just in case something crazy goes on. All right, here's your backup guy. This is what
You
we'll
would have,
do with him.
yeah, you would have to when it comes to a
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yep. I got to go to work in the morning.
yeah, it's time to wrap it up. We've gone almost we have gone 2 hours.
2 hours.
Yeah. So are we gonna try to do this on Saturday?
I don't know. I would love to watch it during the podcast, but then there's part of me that would like to really focus in on it.
Yeah, I know. I'm the same way.
Maybe it's something we can talk about in another episode. Maybe do a pay-per-view.
You first said something about doing a review after that, but then you found out you had to work the next day, so you wouldn't be able to do that.
Yeah.
Then we talked about doing it during the show, which I would love to do. We could provide our own commentary, but honestly, I don't know if my voice would be able to hold up that long in the shape it's in now.
That's my wife. Fucking with the dog.
She's mad about something.
Yep. She's fussing at one of the dogs. The dog is locked up in the laundry room and it knows how to hit the door to open it up and come on out.
Yeah. So on one note, so while we say rest in peace to the puppy, we're gonna go ahead and sign off. Royal Rumble is Saturday night. We'll figure something out, whether if we do a show during that or what. I don't know. But we both want to do this, but at the same time, we want to really watch this too. So we'll figure something out.
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's see. No show next week, but the following week we'll be back.
Yep. I got to work next weekend. Or you can come on there, bring somebody else on and, just come and comment. It's up to you.
Yeah, figure it out. Now that I'm doing 3 shows back to back nights a week, I'd probably take a little break.
I hear you. I gotta set up another Shadows talk sometime soon. Probably gonna wait till February.
Okay.
Because I work Sunday, and then the following week it's already February. So
yeah, hard to believe it. We're already coming up onto the second month of the year.
Yeah, I know. It just seems like yesterday we were having
that New Year's thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway. All right, guys. So until next time we come on, thank you for playing along. We've had better viewership this year than we did last time.
Yeah, thanks for joining in and all the comments. And
yep. So tomorrow on Supernatural Talk, Joe, that's been in the chat, is actually going to be our guest on Supernatural Talk. And then I will have Sandy Boyd from Old Lake County Jail in Crown Point, Indiana, as my guest on 13th Dimension. And then start all over again next week. So, everybody, thank you. And we will see you next time.
See y'all guys. Thank you.